going to be doing a little bit of an ongoing series called Current Cuts, just things that I feel are, very much of the moment. Here you can see I'm working with the Hairbrain Pro razor made by Feather, and I'm starting to take away the length here. We're going to just about shoulder length, using what I call the edge of the blade. So that means the blade's kind of making like a T with my fingers, and a stroke that has about an inch and a half of depth into the hair. So what that's going to do is make the ends nice and soft and kind of chunky and piecey. Not particularly thin, because the blade is not flat on the surface of the hair. It kind of cuts in a chunky, piecey way. So coming through, horizontal kind of line, just square across the back. The overall look here is going to be a nice layered technique, using some skipping with the blade. But I'm going to get the length in first. This is going to be colored by Lupe Voss on Thursday. So I'm pre-cutting a little bit for her. Here you can see I'm using a little bit of what I call slicing, which is a great way to remove weight in kind of a deeper, invisible way. You just go in with the blade wherever you feel like it's needed. For me, it's here, just these last kind of 3 inches of hair, to separate and make sure that we don't have too much weight on the ends of the hair. And again, that's, kind of by your eye and visually looking through. So right now it's kind of got like a bob shape to it. And I'll probably take about 2 more sections. This next one will go all the way around into the front. So coming through from here, all the way around into the front. Sections on just a slight angle, and they're a little bit larger because this Sarah mannequin here from Pivot Point, which is beautiful for nice wavy techniques. She's got not an actual complete curl, but a nice wave. I love Sarah for that. So you can see this length is reaching down to here. I'm going to remove the excess length. There's not too much of it by the time I get down here because of the hair kind of already being layered, and just squaring away. Working with the edge of my razor, so that means the razor is kind of T to my fingers holding the hair. I'll do it in slow motion. See how it kind of cuts a chunk at a time? It doesn't really thin the hair, not as much as if the blade was flat like this. That's the extreme opposite, really thin the hair. While I'm on this side, I might as well finish it off, see if anything reaches, and then we can get into the framing and the layering. I think what's current about this cut is that the shape is not going to be overly defined. I think we're really like in a period where, excessive definition is kind of taking away from the modernness of the look. And again, that's just the way I like to think about it. Not right or wrong, just the way I feel about it. But, that being said, you really have to be in control of what you're doing, because if something's not overly defined, it can get lost. It can become kind of nothing, so it's not about being overly textured. It's just about that last couple inches of the hair having that flexibility. If you're a friend out there watching, it's great to be with you guys again. It's been a minute since I did a live. We've been very busy at Hairbrain doing all sorts of things, and we've had lots of great guests, but I was kind of missing being one of them. So I'm going to come back over the next few weeks, probably mostly on Tuesdays like we're doing here today, and just do a little series of what I feel is current. Okay, very simple. Using slicing on those last few inches of hair. I'm elevating here while I slice, so that takes out even a little bit more. When working with the blade, you have to know that it takes more away because it's inside the hair. So elevating like that, it's actually going to take quite a bit of weight away from the ends of the hair. So it's a less is more kind of thing. I'm not pounding into it. Okay, no real length remaining anymore. Just a few bits here in the front. Okay, so something that's been current for me is, to do this kind of skipping while I work with the razor. Not skipping, that would be kind of funny. But I started doing it like in a frame. I saw Tom Connell do something with scissors a few months back, I guess almost a year ago now, when we worked together on a course for HB Live, which is completely complimentary. If you guys go to hairbrain.live or Online Academy, and you can check out Tom Connell's course, and there's actually even another new one from Jenna Foster on color, both compliments of Davines. But he did something that really intrigued me, and it kind of, I didn't try it for a while. I just didn't bubble up to the surface. But then recently I've been doing it quite a lot in different ways. So I'm going to do it in the face frame here, and then I'm going to try to do a little bit of it in the layering. So essentially what I'm going to do is cut, 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 skip, cut, 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 skip. I'm going to do it in the face frame, and then for the first time I'm going to play with it in the layering. So bear with me. So we start here, and I'm going to be very literal so it's easy to understand. Still working with the edge. 1, 2, 3, stop. Pick that same hair up. Let my hand slide a little bit. 1, 2, 3, start again. 1, 2, 3, stop. Let my hand slide a little bit. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, stop. Let my hand slide a little bit, and then just get off a little there. So what you're doing is you've got a frame, but it's just not perfectly, it kind of stops, so there's a little extra, and then it starts and it stops. And again, that less defined quality that I'm talking about. But again, with something like this, if you don't have really good control of what you're doing, really understand it, it can get away from you quickly. So very important to have great technique and control. 1, 2, 3. This, just because of the parting, I'm taking this side over a little bit further, just so that there's an evenness to the bangs. Now skipping, letting my hand slide through. 1, 2, 3, pick up again. Let my hand slide through. My hand slide through. Go over that again. So counting in my head, sliding and skipping. Can get a little bit abstract, so you really want to be able to focus on what you're doing there. And it's just to give that little bit more undefined quality, but to still have a look happening. Next section, a little bit more vertical. Kind of important for this to not over direct, to let it fall naturally. Otherwise it'll kind of become something else. So I'm going to layer the back a little bit, trying to use another version of this idea. But here we just want to fall naturally. And we want to kind of pick it up and get that rhythm happening again. 1, 2, 3, skip. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You can start to see the guideline now through the hair, where there is one and where there isn't one. So again, it gives that little bit more unpredictability to the hair. I mean, this hair was previously layered, so it's not like the pieces that are dropping out are one length in any way, but it's not a perfect angle, so you've got these disruptions. Simple idea, but I saw it and I loved it, and I think, that's what we do in our craft. Hopefully we're always looking at our coworkers, our friends, educators out there, and then thinking, oh, let me figure out how I can make that mine. And this is how I kind of made it mine. I changed it from the scissor to the razor, and then I just kind of let my imagination get going.
Alberto Gucciardi is saying hello from Italy.
Ciao, Alberto. Our good friend from Italy there. So you've just got these little kind of deliberate inconsistencies in the face frame. Just trying to kind of see if I've got a decent balance. That's what happens when things aren't perfectly defined and connected and blended. You got to use your eyes more. You got to move around more. It helps to have product in the hair. In this case, I have a little bit of the curl whip from our friends at Lanza, which I really am enjoying the way that it's working in the hair. Okay, now for the layers here. Okay, this is going to be the first time that I've tried this. So that's what's great about practicing with great mannequins like the pivot point mannequins. I'm going to try to do this as a layer, kind of go cut, 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 don't cut, 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 don't cut. So simple, but kind of impactful. I'm going to pivot off the crown here. That would be Rex. See, here's a dog outside, so elevating. Keep my fingers kind of close to this. 1, 2, 3, stop, slide. 1, 2, 3, stop, slide. Hair's not super long, which is great because I don't want this to be wild. Yeah, that's doing exactly what I want. It's just disrupting the surface. Remember, I have the slicing through the bottom, and this is just putting like some little disruption to the weight at the top here. Obviously, the longer the hair is, you know, the more you can kind of get going with this. 1, 2, 3, stop, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, stop, 1, 2, 3. So again, you're just kind of skipping and layering, and you can see, look at that, it just kind of, we've got the slicing down here, we've got the frame has some skipping to it, and now we've got the inside. So I've tried this a bunch of times around the face, and it's done a lot of really cool stuff. So I figured I would try it inside the hair a little bit more. And I'm liking that. You know, because you get a little bit of drama from a few like little shorter pieces on the top without it being overwhelming or overly layered or whatever it is that we're looking for. And again, I can see it coming together because I've got, this is the product that I'm really enjoying, Healing Curls. Nice cream that's great for bringing out the wave and curl in the hair. And with this type of cutting that I'm doing here, I really need to be able to see that hair and see what it's doing. So very simple, got like kind of a bob quality to it, got the face framing. I'm gonna layer this side, then I'm gonna do a little more detail on the edge of the hair, and I think I'll be done. It's pretty simple, which also to me is very current. I don't personally like to do overly complicated hair cutting. It's just where I'm at. You have to know yourself, you know. Might not be current for everyone in the world, but that's kind of how we like to work, is what's right for us. Slide, slide. You have to have a little bit of memory from where you started with the previous. I mean, sometimes even with something like this, you will see a reference or a guideline. I mean, in general, with razor cutting, guidelines are softer. So your eyes have to be really sharp. You have to kind of have a really good feeling for where you worked and what you're doing. But yeah, I mean, again, I always have to kind of remind myself to do less, especially with hair cutting. Sometimes, you know, for myself, I know myself, I can get overly complicated and add another step. And then, you know, I always think, oh, I should have just done a little bit less, make it more simple. So that's what I'm going for here. That's my current state. Okay, so I love what's happening around the face. I love the perimeter length. I like what's happening with these little skip layers, even though it's the first time I did it. But I feel like it's a bit clunky in the bottom, which happens, you know, anytime you kind of layer a mid-length cut. So I'm going to very, very carefully come back into this area, and I'm going to try to break up some of the weight here. Now we could just round the corner off, but since we're razoring, I can work kind of in a more invisible way. Look and see that center piece? That's what I was going for. I don't like that kind of balloonishness at the bottom. And it comes from right here where the layers meet the length. Less is more. 2 or 3 little strokes with the blade and I should get what I need. I don't think it needs it at all around the face frame because we really kind of worked. It's just this right in here. Simple, but not easy. You know, I think you really have to understand hair cutting. And even though I say like nowadays that I want things to be less defined, I'm so grateful that I learned how to define hair. I don't think you can do undefined hair or less defined hair if you don't know how to do defined hair. So let me be clear on that. You know, depending on what phase you are in your craft or your career, you know, you gotta master strong, clean shape to ever go away from it. It's just that, you know, some people don't go away from it, which is great. They love to keep doing that. For me, I wanted to just kind of go in a different direction, but I'm so glad that I understand really the foundations of great hair cutting that, you know, I learned from Vidal Sassoon and working at Vidal Sassoon.
Maddie was wondering if we can show the product again and what technique you're using after the cut.
Sure. So I'm using the razor. I'm using mostly the edge of the blade. I did a skip framing where I would cut a little bit, then not cut, then cut a little bit, then not cut. And then I tried to do that also with layering, which I'm pretty pleased with the way that it worked out. I haven't done it before. Kind of came to me earlier today when I was thinking about how I could evolve this. I've done the skip framing a little bit. I wanted to see if I could do it internally. So this is what I'm using for product. It's great curl and wave curl whip from our friends at Lanza, who've been great supporters of Hairbrain and Hairbrain education over the years, and make fantastic products. And every product they make has a healing quality to it, which I love. You know, I think a lot of times we think, oh, a product can damage my hair or such and such, but their products, everything, even the styling products, are meant to make your hair healthier and heal it. All right, I'm going to do a little bit of drying, so bear with me. I don't think it will take very long for those of you that always want to kind of see what it looks like. I think you could probably blow dry this straight if you really wanted, but this kind of skip cutting to me is about wave and natural. And it's not like you're going to have pieces that are 12 inches long and 3 inches long because the hair is already layered. And maybe if it wasn't, you do like a basic round layer first, longer, and then go in and do some of the skipping. But in this case, Sarah already comes layered. Otherwise, it would be extreme. And again, what I'm trying to be and do is not extreme. It can be a little bit of a, you know, of a challenge for me. As a cutter, sometimes you just want to go for it. You got to do more. You got to push it. But recently, I've just been thinking, you know, do less. And just do it really well. I'm just getting some air through here. You can see this, you know, I'm a big proponent of practicing and training with mannequins. This is the Pivot Point Sarah. Lupe, who's going to be coloring her on Thursday, asked for, you know, something that had layers that were like 4 or 5 inches long, and it had a lot of wave, not necessarily a full curl. And I automatically thought that Sarah would be the perfect mannequin to do something like that. Using the hands to shape and form the directions. Literally grab that hair like you're grabbing a ball and kind of squeeze it. Trying to keep that consistent. I don't want one side totally dry and the other soaking wet. So moving across. Working with the Porlux diffuser, with the Magic Sense diffuser. Beautiful little diffuser. I think, you know, diffusers have come a long way. This one's really evolved. It's got the fingers. It really just, it's a perfect sense of heat coming out. Again, hand drying, you know, it's an art unto itself. Manipulating those curls and waves, grabbing them where you want them to bend. You know, sometimes you can use clips as well to help you. I'm just taking, again, a very simple approach. Just using my hands to lift and get the air into the hair. Again, if this is my client, I would have her lean forward at this stage. Start to use different directions. Get the roots moving, get the hair moving. Allows me to get into the nape. Again, if you're looking for a great dryer, Now's a good time. Head to hairbrain.pro. Use the code Labor of Love for Labor Day, and you can save 20% on everything, but especially expensive things like dryers. So hairbrain.pro, that's our online tool supply. Pro shop. We'd love for you guys to go and grab yourself some great tools. Again, hope some of our friends from around the country and around the world have joined us. It's been a minute since I did a Facebook Live, so I'm happy to be here sharing. And we'll be back again on Thursday with Lupe Voss, the color queen. She'll be sharing some great color tips on this mannequin. Now getting that hair again, if this was my guest, I'd probably at this point let them go back, forward, side to side. Keeping that hair moving, like a wrap dry for straight hair. I want movement in the roots, movement. I don't want anything so static or stuck. I want to really define the movement. I think for me, like 90% of people that sit in my chair when I work with clients have some kind of wave and movement in their hair, but a lot of them have just never learned how to manage it or embrace it. So I think walking people through these steps, even though for some of us they seem very simple, but I think a lot of times clients are more comfortable picking up a brush. Even though they might want to, they might see all these great natural looks and think maybe it's time to try something, they just don't really know how. A little bit of that, starting to come together exactly as I'd hoped. You know, not quite a shag, not quite a bob, a bit less defined. A lot of intermingling of the wave and the texture with those different skips in the layering. Probably play around with the drawing and styling just a little bit more, and I'll post a totally finished picture. But I think this is pretty much right where I wanted it to go. I don't think I need to do any more cutting. I'm probably just going to play around with styling and kind of adding some product.